So quickly coming on to the introduction to PyTorch. PyTorch is one of the most interesting deep learning frameworks out there today. It was developed by the people at Facebook, particularly for their facial recognition needs. Now, the main advantage about PyTorch is that it is completely based around the usage of Python and an old framework called as Torch. It is actually very well put together. It's a brand new framework and it's built in such a way that everything is dynamic rather than static, as you'll see in the comparison ahead. And of course, native support for distributed computing in PyTorch is something which is amazing. Now, coming to a quick introduction to what TensorFlow is. As you might already know, TensorFlow is one of the most popular deep learning and machine learning libraries out there right now. This is a bit older than PyTorch, but at the end of the day, both of these are open source. Both of these are completely free to use along with all of the community support and more. So when you're talking about who developed this, again, it is developed by the Google Brain team, and it was completely started as a research project which then trickled down into the commercial aspects as well. So what started as a research-based project is now one of the most popular deep learning libraries out there for all the purposes such as again, research, learning, and more. Now, there's one thing when you talk about TensorFlow is that it's completely a production-based environment and it's mostly used for that. So deployment on cloud architectures or on a distributed computing machine makes it really easy for TensorFlow. So without further ado, let's dive into the quick comparison between PyTorch and TensorFlow. And the first point we're going to check out is the origin of PyTorch and TensorFlow. As I just mentioned, PyTorch is actually developed and improved from an already existing framework which is called as the Torch framework. Again, these were developed by the people at Facebook as well. So PyTorch, as the name suggests, is an improvised version of Torch for Python. It completely revolves around the world of Python and it feels very native to Python. Now, when you're talking about TensorFlow, well, TensorFlow is actually built keeping Theano in mind. Now, Theano is another brilliant deep learning tool, and it is again in one of the top 10 tools for deep learning and machine learning as well. So as Torch was the basis framework for PyTorch, just like that, Theano was the basic framework for TensorFlow. Coming to the next point, it's implementation. Well, since PyTorch is a relatively new framework, it came out in 2016. It has a complex documentation as of how it stands. But then when you think about TensorFlow, since it was built for research, the research domain involves, simplifying a lot of complex things. So it has better documentation at this point of time. And from the research aspect to the commercial applications, TensorFlow has covered a wide domain until today. Since PyTorch was meant for a niche application, scaling that to the regular commercial need was a bit tough until now. Well, with the new version of PyTorch, all of that is solved and both PyTorch and TensorFlow, in fact, perform equally good. Now, as a developer, you might have a question saying which framework provides for better job opportunities, or in which framework can you expect more job openings in the recent times? Well, PyTorch has somewhere around an average of 500 job openings for every region, be it the United States, be it the United Kingdom, or India as well. So there are a variety of employers hiring for PyTorch because, as I just mentioned, it feels very native to Python. And if you're a person who wants to explore deep learning in Python to its depth, then of course PyTorch will be the framework that you'll be having to look at when you're learning as well. But then when you talk about TensorFlow has a wider scope of job openings. See, PyTorch was natively meant for the facial recognition purpose at Facebook, and now they're scaling it to a variety of things. But then TensorFlow, even since its nascent stages, from its research stage, it has been comparatively known to solve a wider variety of problems. So this means that there are multiple companies out there who require solutions, and these solutions can be easily obtained when you use TensorFlow rather than PyTorch. So what do you guys think about this point? Now, so coming to the next important point of comparison, it is the one which says, which is easier to learn for a beginner or for an intermediate user? Well, as you might already know, Python is an amazingly easy and straightforward language to work with. Now, PyTorch is just like icing on the cake here. It makes it very easy to learn. It makes it very easy to understand all of the PyTorch codes in Python. And of course, when you're looking to solve a problem in deep learning, things can get a bit complex and out of hand. But since PyTorch is completely based on Python, it totally solves that issue and makes it very easy for you guys as developers. Now, when you're talking about TensorFlow at this point of time can be a little overwhelming to learners because there's a requirement where you have to understand a lot of things. Now, there are many complex things. There are tensors. You have to understand how these tensors work. There's so many things which might overwhelm a beginner person, or let's say even an intermediate person who's willing to switch from one deep learning framework to the other. So my vote for easy to learn goes to PyTorch, because again, even though it has a bit of complex documentation, if you can work through these documentation, PyTorch is actually amazing to learn and work with. Coming to computation graphs, I think this is where the majority of the difference lies when you're talking about PyTorch or TensorFlow. Because when you're working with PyTorch is completely based on a dynamic nature of running things at runtime. Now, what I mean by that is basically when you have entities called as computation graphs, these are entities which will basically allow you to change variables and work with data to give you some sort of analytics at the end. Now, in a regular program, let's say in a regular C program or a Python program, your program gets executed line by line, and there's a good chance you cannot change a lot of things when the actual program is running. So you have to stop the running, you have to go back, change the values and run it again, right? In the case of PyTorch, that's not so, because here you can manipulate all of these computation graphs at runtime while it is executing to give you, let's say, real-time analysis, or what we call as near real-time analysis. Now, coming to TensorFlow has a slight disadvantage here because it only supports the usage of static graphs. So what does this mean? Well, this means that it does not allow for any runtime manipulation. So anytime you have to do any changes, well, as the name suggests, you do have to recompile it, rerun it, and only then can you see if your manipulation was as per your requirement or not. And this again clearly is a win for PyTorch in my opinion. Now, coming to the next point, which is debuggability and debugging. Now, when you think about which tool or which framework is easier to debug, I'll have to say it's PyTorch, because PyTorch again comes with native tools like IPDebug and PDebug as well. So basically it's called IPDB and PDB, as you can see from your screen. So these are tools which are natively installed whenever you install the PyTorch package. So you can use these tools to easily do line by line debugging and a lot more. But when you talk about TensorFlow and when you talk about debugging in TensorFlow, you have to install a separate debugger. So basically with this, you'll have to install a separate debugger. It's called as TF-debug, and this does not come in the package, at least with the TensorFlow version of today. So installing this separately and working with this and learning how to use TF-debug can be slightly confusing. But again, if you have worked with debuggers before, then both of these should be clearly easy for you guys. This brings us to point number 7. Point number 7 is community support. As we've been mentioning, TensorFlow has been here for a lot longer time than PyTorch has been here. So PyTorch is relatively new. Even though it's very powerful, it has a smaller community base. Now, when you talk about TensorFlow has a very large community base. One, because it's from the giants Google, and the second thing is that whenever there is this Google philosophy of making complex things really simple, so they have put that same thing along with TensorFlow documentation as well. So as a beginner, even though the concepts in TensorFlow might be a bit complex, the way that it can be conveyed to you once you begin learning can be very easy. And this is why most of the learners prefer learning TensorFlow, having a certification in TensorFlow, than working with PyTorch. Coming to point number 8, it's visualization tools. Again, this is a very important point which forms one of the major distinctions between PyTorch and TensorFlow. PyTorch does not provide you with any native visualization tools or anything that comes installed with it where you can create beautiful looking visualizations. No. Of course, you can use tools such as Matplotlib or any other thing which is supported in Python, of course, for the visualization purposes, to draw your graphs for you or to create any good 3D and 2D models. But then when you talk about TensorFlow, the biggest advantage is that TensorFlow gives you an entity, a tool called as the TensorBoard. The TensorBoard is an amazingly easy to use tool which will give you ample number of visualizations. It'll give you literally hundreds and hundreds of ways you can go on to denote data into a variety of graphs, into beautiful looking visualizations. At the end of the day, whenever you talk about data science, whenever you talk about deep learning, in my opinion, these visualizations are the most powerful tools out there. So with TensorFlow providing the users with the tensor board, I think it's a clear win for TensorFlow in this round. Now, when we talk about the next point, it's deployment. So if you are developing deep learning projects using PyTorch or TensorFlow, how is it that you can, move all of this into a deployable environment, or how is it that you can get this ready from your code set into being implemented actively? Well, with PyTorch, you can use Flask or any of the REST APIs basically on top of your existing models or the models that you have just developed to help you with deployment. Now, in the case of TensorFlow, it's a bit different. It's a bit easier, in fact, because TensorFlow will give you another tool, and this tool is called as the TensorFlow Serving. The TensorFlow Serving will help you with any sort of deployment options that you require. It's pretty quick, when you compare it with the PyTorch aspect, because PyTorch, again, you will have to configure the REST APIs. You will have to write a Flask code to basically carry this towards deployment. But then here, whenever you talk about TensorFlow, the TensorFlow Serving will do a very good job at helping you deploy things quicker. Now, point number 10 is data parallelism. Whenever we talk about data parallelism, basically what we're trying to mean is that we can have and leverage the usage of multiple computers at once. You can spread the data out to multiple machines and use the computation power of all of these machines to work at the same time parallelly, so that you can execute things quicker and in a more efficient way. Now, I was talking about PyTorch being very dynamic, right? Here's another add-on point to that. When we talk about PyTorch, it is basically written and configured to natively work on distributed computing power. So what it means is that PyTorch has the ability to completely work in a distributed environment without any fuss, without any trouble, whenever you have to work on a lot of data which is coming in parallel streams as well. Now, when we talk about TensorFlow here, it's a bit complex because, again, parallelism is supported in TensorFlow. But then if you're a learner, if you're an intermediate user, it might get a little complex for you guys to implement it, because there's a lot of manual implementation needs to be done. There's a lot of tweaks and changes in the code to make sure that your data pipelines are set, your data processing is handled. And eventually, if complexity is the main question at this point of time with respect to data parallelism, I think PyTorch wins this round. Now, coming to the next point, it's prototyping. Whenever you talk about PyTorch or TensorFlow, there's two main things which come into concern. One is prototyping and the other one is production environments. TensorFlow was meant to be used in a production environment because, again, from its onset, from its native early days, it's been basically used in production environments where it has been driving analytics, it's been driving a variety of companies and deep learning models very efficiently. Now, when you talk about PyTorch is mostly for people who love prototyping, people who, love to do new things, try out new things, create prototypes, and, and later consider development and deployment as well. So at this point of time, if you're confused about which one to pick, you can go towards the PyTorch approach if you're into prototyping, if you want to develop things, and create new stuff which has not been done before, or, you'll be using TensorFlow if you want the easy advantage to move into a production environment where most of the companies, pretty much use today as well. So this point should give you a very good clarity about which tool can be right for you. Now, even with that, you might have questions saying, okay, but which should I pick? And at the start, it might add a lot of confusion to you, not knowing which one to pick. Well, let me say this, there's a lot of people who work with TensorFlow, and of course, there's a lot of people who work with PyTorch as well. But then when you have to learn something, you just have to pick one and get started with it. Because for your particular usage, there is no customized, tailor-made deep learning framework, right? You just have to find out which is the closest fit for your requirement. And how do you do that? It's like ice cream flavors, to be honest, my favorite ice cream flavor might not be your favorite, or you might not even like it, for example. So using the same analogy, just to work with it, you just have the two top frameworks right now, PyTorch and TensorFlow. Just pick one and get started with it. There is a lot of free resources on our YouTube channel as well. We have amazing content for TensorFlow where you can, quickly get started with it and begin working on it. So just pick one and get started with it, learn it, try to understand it, and see to it that, if it's meant for you or not. So in the field of deep learning, whenever you start working seriously, whenever you work more and more, your intuition will be developed enough such that it will give you an understanding where you will know if PyTorch is your path to go or if TensorFlow is the path that you should take. So until you reach that point of time, again, let me iterate the same thing. Just pick one and get started with it, because both of these deep learning frameworks are really fun to work with. They're very powerful and you can do amazing things with them. So what do you think about this comparison? If you have any more points to add, please head down to the comment section below and do add them over. We'd be happy to interact there with you. On that note, you've reached the end of the session.